Oh, hello there. Yes. Well, still sorting out my software, still sorting out my hardware, still sorting it all out. So you're going to put up with me like this just for slightly longer. Anyway, yes. Today, yes. Thought we talk about capitalism because it's such a great system whereby everybody wins, apart from the people that lose, obviously. Well, as long as the people that lose are all the people that we're going to lose anyway, presumably that's fine because that's just the way things are. But it's been announced that there's going to be a crackdown, yes, on bad people because we'll keep the good people. So we've had these headlines in the last 24 hours. Crackdown on profiteering. Yeah, I told you it was going to be a crackdown. Care home providers that house children in caravans and Airbnbs. Yes, think about that. Caravans and Airbnbs. Like being on holiday. Sounds great, doesn't it? Moves to make the system more transparent after it emerges that many vulnerable youngsters are placed in highly unsuitable accommodation. Yes, I don't think it's emerged particularly. I think lots of us have known that for a very long period of time. It's just that nobody prior to present government have really cared about it. Anyway, did have to smile in particular at the Guardian. Overhaul of children's social care in England, crackdown on firms profiteering. Government says wide-ranging reforms will end, in inverted commas, neglect in a system that leaves young people behind. But this is the thrills I do like. You see, I do like this one very, very particular sentence because it contains so much. Let's look at this. Excessive profiteering by unscrupulous private companies charging sky-high fees for substandard placements. Wow. It's a mouthful in itself, and it says so much already, doesn't it? Excessive profiteering. You see, we don't mind the reasonable profiteering by scrupulous private companies charging not particularly sky-high fees for okay-ish placements, eh? Yeah, that's going to be okay, but apparently some of them are taking the rip, yes, for vulnerable children. Oh dear, will be clamped down on as part of a major overhaul of children's social care in England, yes. The government will outline, well, yesterday, a wide range of package of changes which it promises will end of years of drift and neglect, yes, years of it, in children's social care system and introduce a new emphasis on early intervention, yes, indeed. Yes, but nothing really will change, will it, of course, because after all we live in a system whereby you have to make a profit. That's the nature of capitalism, isn't it? You have to make a profit. That's the first thing that's there. If you look at, the legislation around companies, they have to make a profit. They have to give to their shareholders above everything else. You can treat children like dirt, but you mustn't not pay out those dividends. Yes, and the Labour Party have promised to do something about how bad it looks. Yes, rather than actually how bad it is. Still, that's the nature of our Starmer regime as opposed to your Boris Johnson or otherwise regime, I suppose. The Labour Party are a bit concerned it looks bad, so they're going to make sure it looks slightly better. But it won't change. Because once you make things a business, they act like a business. And businesses, very keen on profits, not really keen on anything else. But the part of this that I find so immensely amusing, of course, is that we were supposed to have moved beyond a process that exploits children in a system. And yet here we have the perfect example of children being exploited in a system. Simply, their bodies are valuable in its own right. Think about all the metaphors there might be around that. Quite horrific. When one goes back in time to the 1820s and 1830s, when we started to think it might be an idea to bring in laws about how we treat children, then there is an awful lot of testimony from young people about how appallingly they were treated. These days, there isn't an awful lot of testimony about how appallingly young people are treated because, for the most part, their voices aren't heard, even though there's lots of legislation like the 1989 Children's Act, which is supposed to stop it. Now, I can personally testify a great deal about the appalling state of care for children across the board in this country, and in particular in children's home. I know that from first-hand experience. But the problem with all of this stuff, of course, is if you make things a business, then businesses will act like a business and they will turn a profit. And they don't really care where it comes from. So they will employ people and utilise buildings that are vastly unsuitable because that means more money. If you want to change the system, don't allow businesses to be businesses. Bring it all back in-house. But of course, Our glorious present government isn't going to do that because that wouldn't be very business friendly. So what they'll do is make sure, hopefully, that these companies don't try it on. Because that was the difference between them and the last lot. The last lot really didn't mind companies trying it on. This lot don't really like the look of it. Not really a great deal of difference, because the basic problem, of course, is the economic system, and you can legislate against it, but that would be communism, and that would mean that everything would be a lot worse, apart from maybe for the kids, eh? Still, never mind them. Never mind them. Do have a lovely Tuesday, if you can.